It sounds like the plot of a bad comedy. Two pilots cruising along at 35,000 feet, eyes drooping, and oops, both fall asleep. Can you imagine the passengers blissfully sipping tomato juice while up front, nobody's actually flying the plane? As terrifying as that sounds, it recently happened for real. On January 25, 2024, a Batik Air Airbus A320 was traveling from Sulawesi to Jakarta when both pilots inadvertently drifted into dreamland for a solid 28 minutes. During that time, the aircraft flew about 390 kilometers, 240 miles, completely unattended, wandering off its planned route. Fortunately, the pilots woke up, corrected course, and landed safely, but the incident raised an eyebrow or two in the aviation world, and maybe a few heart rates among frequent flyers. So, what actually happens when the people in charge of the airplane decide to catch a few unscheduled Z's? Let's dig into the fascinating and slightly nerve-wracking details. The unsung third crew member. First, let's bust one myth. When pilots fly a modern airliner, they're not wrestling the controls like in an action movie. The autopilot is almost always engaged once the plane is stable at cruising altitude. It can maintain heading, altitude, speed, and even navigate waypoints with GPS precision. In other words, if both pilots zonked out for a while, as happened with Batik Air, the plane would keep trucking along just fine for a time. But there's a big catch. Autopilot can't make judgment calls. It won't avoid unexpected storms, reroute for air traffic control instructions, or land itself in an emergency. And crucially, it can't refill the tanks. If no one wakes up before the fuel runs dry, the aircraft could eventually run out of gas. A scenario eerily reminiscent of Helios Airways Flight 522, where the crew was incapacitated by hypoxia and the plane kept flying until it crashed. The Batik Air pilots were lucky. Their brief collective nap didn't lead to disaster because they woke up in time. Still, 28 minutes of no human input is enough to wander way off course and give air traffic controllers a serious case of the sweats. The airline industry's sleepless secret. If you're wondering, how on earth do pilots fall asleep at the same time? Welcome to the very human side of aviation. Long hours, irregular schedules, and time zone changes make fatigue a constant battle. A NASA study found that sleep-deprived people can slip into microsleeps, tiny, uncontrollable doses that last a few seconds to minutes, even with their eyes open. That means a pilot could be technically awake but not actually processing anything. Combine that with the quiet hum of engines, dim cockpit lighting, and long stretches of uneventful flying, and staying alert can feel like a Herculean task. Interestingly, NASA's research also suggests that short naps of up to 40 minutes can dramatically improve alertness and safety. This gave rise to the concept of controlled rest. Controlled rest. Controlled rest is aviation's way of admitting humans aren't robots. Some airlines allow one pilot to nap while the other stays alert, but only under strict rules. The nap is typically 20 to 40 minutes, timed during non-critical phases of flight. Think smooth cruising, not takeoff or landing. Pilots can't nap if there's turbulence, bad weather ahead, planned altitude changes, or fuel transfers in progress. It's essentially a supervised siesta. The resting pilot must inform the other, set alarms, and be ready to wake up at the slightest disturbance. The idea is to prevent dangerous fatigue without compromising safety. However, not all airlines embrace the practice. In the United States, the FAA has been hesitant to fully endorse cockpit naps, fearing lawsuits if something went wrong while a pilot was snoozing. Instead, many airlines in Europe and Asia have adopted controlled rest policies because they've found it's safer to plan naps than risk accidental dozing. When both pilots doze off accidentally. Even with these safeguards, there have been rare but notable cases where both pilots accidentally fell asleep, like Batik Air's recent incident. Sometimes both crew members are just too exhausted, and the one meant to stay awake loses the battle too. Pilots sometimes joke about the controlled rest that wasn't so controlled. To combat this, some aircraft have installed pilot response monitors. Think of them as cockpit baby monitors for adults. If no buttons or controls are touched for 15 minutes, a warning pops up. Pilot response. If there's still no action after 5 more minutes, an audible alarm blares, hopefully loud enough to snap even the sleepiest captain awake. Unfortunately, this safety feature tends to exist on long-haul aircraft, but not always on short-haul planes like the Batik Air A320. Pilots aren't superhuman. It's easy to assume pilots are always razor-sharp, like action heroes in aviator sunglasses. The truth is, they're people, and people get tired, especially when working through the night or managing crazy schedules. Pilots joke among themselves about the autopilot lullaby, and how the gentle hum of engines can feel like nature's white noise machine. Imagine this. The captain is sipping coffee, the first officer is scrolling through the flight plan, and somewhere over the ocean the calm cruise turns into the ultimate sleep soundtrack. Suddenly, both are out cold. Don't worry though. Most cockpits are loud enough that even a mild turbulence bumper alarm will wake them. Passengers might be surprised to know how many little systems exist to keep flights safe, even if humans falter. Air traffic controllers keep an eye on the aircraft's track. Flight management systems handle a huge chunk of navigation, and pilots, even when exhausted, train extensively to recover from mistakes. Lessons learned from Batik Air's nap flight. The Batik Air incident wasn't the first of its kind, but it's a reminder that fatigue management in aviation matters. After such events, airlines often review crew scheduling, rest policies, and whether fatigue monitoring could be improved. It also reignites discussions about whether cockpit nap policies should be standardized across the industry. Many experts argue it's safer to allow planned naps than to pretend pilots can stay awake indefinitely. Just like truck drivers or doctors on long shifts, pilots are still human, and acknowledging that can prevent worse outcomes. What should passengers take away? Passengers should remember that flying remains one of the safest ways to travel, with rare incidents like Batik Air's usually ending without harm thanks to multiple safety systems. Autopilot is highly reliable and keeps the plane steady for long periods, while air traffic control monitors flight paths and can intervene if something goes wrong. Modern aircraft are built with alarms, alerts, and redundancies that help keep sleepy pilots awake and aware. Plus, whenever a headline-making event occurs, airlines and regulators tighten policies and improve training, meaning each incident ultimately makes flying even safer over time. Should you be worried? You probably don't need to worry. If it calms you, keep a simple mental checklist. If the engines are humming steadily and the cabin is calm, the pilots are almost certainly fine, even if one takes a quick power nap. If the plane suddenly drifts far off course and you hear frantic radio chatter, it's okay to feel uneasy, but air traffic control and safety systems will usually respond long before passengers sense danger. Aviation is built with multiple layers of protection, so even in the rare event both pilots nod off, the chances of an accident remain extremely low. Thanks for watching. If you found this video about sleepy pilots and the incredible safety systems that keep us flying fascinating, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more aviation stories, pilot secrets, and behind-the-scenes looks at what really happens in the cockpit. Got thoughts about controlled rest or questions about flying? Drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next one.